So I just watched back the original Real Grade Tallgeese review I did last year, and I noticed I did this kind of pros and cons kind of approach to the whole thing, so I actually liked that on looking back at it, so I'm gonna do the same thing right here with the exact same pros and cons to see how this variant kit stands up against the original. Now here we go. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the Real Grade Tallgeese III. The Tallgeese, the standard basic Real Grade Tallgeese, this one right here, was one of my all-time favorite Real Grade kits because it's one of the first to have ditched that pre-molded inner frame that kind of defined the original generation of Real Grades and defined E or S, early Real Grade syndrome. AKA, after a while, they all go to floppy town. A year and a half later, my Real Grade Tallgeese is holding up absolutely perfectly. It's one of the only Real Grades I actually keep on my desk for playing about with, including the Mark II, the Gundam Mark II. Actually, they're the only two I actually play around with. They're small, solid, and awesome. So this time around, we're going to see how this variant kit, this Premium Bandai variant kit, holds up against the original. I also have the Master Grade variant as well, so we can check that one out too. But once again, this video right here would not be possible without those absolutely fantastic people over at Buyee. So if you do want some hard-to-get kits of your own from Japan, Premium Bandai, etc., there's a link down there in the description to Buyee, as well as the Amazon listing that I bought the Tallgeese III from. But anyway, here we go. So getting right into it, and this right here is what the OG Tallgeese looks like out of the box, snapped together with some of the stickers, not a lot, and a little bit of panel lining, as usual, on the front. Nothing around here in the back, blank. So for me, I absolutely adore the Tallgeese design. It's so cool. The original one looks great. The nice mix of sheer white on some darker inner colors, and that general kind of Roman look is all awesome. This one right here, the Tallgeese III, definitely mixes that up quite a bit. The color palette is changed completely. And as for colors on here, we've got that super gloss white, we've got a not so gloss off-white, we've got two shades blue on here, that's a darker blue and a lighter blue, and the inner frame is in an almost kind of, I don't know, like mushroomy gray. It does look very nice though. Ooh, and I almost forgot, it's got that big yellow crown on top, and the eyes right there, that's a sticker. On paper, I think the Tallgeese III's design is absolutely fantastic, but when it comes to a model kit, I find it looks a little bit on the unfinished side. I know I haven't completely panel lined this up or added all the decals that might break off that white a lot, but straight out of the box, this does look like it's, well, incomplete when it comes to colors. I guess that's just the way it kind of looks as a model kit. Same goes with the Master Grade right there. Personally, I think there's something so perfect about the original design. Once again, this one is predominantly white, and that may be to or not to your liking. Next up then, we've got those decals. These are all quite small for the most part. I've used the majority of the metallic ones. These always look absolutely fantastic. As for the other style decals, most of these are just standard red and black or red and white kind of writing, warnings, information sort of things. Basic ones like that. We do have some larger ones here on the weapon. I will mention I got those two back to front, so they should be the other way around. And the shield personally has the best ones. It has that nice little preventer wind symbol, which is also on the shoulder, as well as the Tallgeese III logo there, which is also on the other shoulder. But those little wings on the blue in white definitely add to that a lot. Looking pretty cool. Also, not to forget, there is a green sticker in there on the eyes, not the blue we would have seen on the original Tallgeese. But like I said already, this is a variant of the OG Tallgeese. So how does this variant compare? First up, in the review of the standard Real Grade Tallgeese, I did say it had absolutely perfect plastic. This kit right here does feature the exact same high gloss white as we saw on the Tallgeese, but like I mentioned, because of its color scheme, it doesn't pop quite as much as on the original. It still does look great, it's still fantastic plastic, but without that darker color to kind of bounce against, it does look a little bit on the plain side. Also, just like with the standard Tallgeese, we do have a bit of a seam here on the side of the arm. Because this is glossy, this is going to be hard to clean up nicely without having to go over it again with a gloss coat, so that's a bit of a problem. And these large Tallgeese III shoulders feature one massive seam line all the way around. However, that particular white there is not in a high gloss, so that'll be easier to clean up. The inner frame plastic, even though it's in a kind of mushroomy beige, still is just as buttery soft and perfect as what we saw with the original. But still, I do feel the original beats this one when it comes to that outward look. Once again, of course, this kit is heavily undergated, just like the original, so that does mean a lot of the nub marks are hidden. So even though it is a glossy kit, most of the time you won't be hitting that gloss with your sandpaper or file, besides on those forearms. And once again, just like before, this kit is... So this right here is an absolutely tiny kit, and what it packs into its tiny frame is ridiculous. Just like before, physically for the most part this is exactly the same, so we've all of those opening hatches on the side of the legs, around on the back skirts, those huge backpack segments with all those folding out parts. This is ridiculously detailed. So nice. Once again, just like before, we've got that little hidden Leo sensor in behind the head. So once you pull that off, you can see that's a sticker, this time in gold, not gold. And in so many ways, the Real Grade right here outclasses the Master Grade in so many different aspects. Looks, it definitely looks that much better in my opinion. I'm gonna put them side by side around the same size so you can judge that for yourself. There they are. So right here, I will mention that this is a bit of an unfair comparison because the Master Grade has not been panel lined, the Master Grade also has not had any decals applied, but it just doesn't have that gloss awesome finish that the Real Grade does. And all in all, I'm a Master Grade man when it comes to Gundam kits. It's my favorite line, but still I feel the Real Grade outclasses it here. And that goes double for one of the weapons, but we'll talk about that later. Just interrupting this review right here to mention once again that I do have channel memberships and Patreon available if you do want to help out the channel. Right now, one of my biggest goals is to move onto 4K, and that is something I can't actually do with the revenue the channel makes at the moment. I need that to live. Both the Patreon and the channel memberships come with a Discord. Get on there, it's so much fun, it's awesome, and we're having monthly competitions now. So this month is a model kit pose-off. If you're good at posing gunpla, you want to get in here and win these prizes right here. You can support the channel on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You still get to go onto the Discord, take part in the competitions, post your collection, talk about your newly completed kits, and just talk to other like-minded gunpla fanatics. But anyway, that is enough about that. Let's get back to the review. So onto some size comparisons, and of course, even for a Real Grade, the Tallgeese is a bit on the small side. So there it is beside some high grades, which is your standard Zaku, that's the origin version, the high grade narrative Gundam, dwarfing it, and there is the Master Grade Tallgeese, the Master Grade Tallgeese III, and the Master Grade Wing TV version. And finally, there's the Master Grade Sazabi, just so you can see it is a bit small. Also, there's it on a shelf beside the Sazabi, and when it comes to something like shelf presence, well, you can make that decision yourself. And also there it is beside the Real Grade Crossbone, the smallest orgy of them all. In the Real Grade Tallgeese review, the only con that I had was... So this really isn't an issue in here, the clear parts are gone. There is a clear part for the visor in there, but we do get a sticker to cover that up. That's the only colorless clear part. But with the beam sabers in here, we don't get those colorless clear ones we got with the last one. We just get a standard couple of pinks. So now moving on into the accessories, and here it is with absolutely everything it comes with. And just as a bit of a reminder first, here is what the original Tallgeese came with. This is what this comes with. This is the original ORG Tallgeese, and this is this. So as you can see, for the most part, it's identical, besides the color and the weapons. Instead of the Dober gun that we saw with the original, we've now got the Mega Cannon. Instead of that classic circular shield that we got with the original, this time around we've got this awesome pointed shield. This also includes that attachable heat rod. We have the exact same set of hands in here, but instead of that darkish grey, navy bluey color, this time they're in white. The beam sabers are essentially identical to what we saw before, but this time we don't have those colorless clear beams in here. Just these ones. Next up then we've got that 1/44th scale Zex Marquis, or Milliardo Peacecraft I should say, and this is him without the helmet and different from what we saw with the original. Lastly then is your classic good old action base adapter. So pretty much exactly the same as what we saw before, with a little bit of differences, but let's check them all out a little bit closer. So as for the hands in here, these are those pre-molded ones that are set in a pose already, so we've got that pair of fists. Once again, these are completely in the same color as the mobile suit. A pair of jazz hands, a pair of fairly standard holding hands, these have a peg, hold the weapons, and lastly then in here we have a single right hand at this extended angle. This is another holding hand, so of course this is perfect for pairing with the beam sabers like that right there. And of course these are absolutely perfect for pulling off those fancy man fencing poses just like what we can see right here. When these aren't in use, just pop off the beams like so, and those can be stored in here on the reverse side of the shield. And speaking of the shield, we'll get back to that in a minute. So the base adapter is your general fare, it just pops onto the top of a action base like this, slots in under, just like so. Beautiful. So next up then with the weapons, we've got the Mega Cannon, and I will mention that I did get those decals the wrong way around, made a bit of a mistake there, so they should be the other way around, but who cares? Not me, that's for sure. Anyway, this thing does look absolutely and utterly spectacular. It is so cool. I don't know if I prefer it to the Dover gun or not, but it's definitely awesome. But just like with the Dover gun, this is a whole lot going on. This arm here has an incredible amount of articulation. That is a ball joint right here. 1 point of rotation here. Another point here. Some pivot right here. And another ball joint right in there. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe? Man, I gotta learn to count. If that wasn't enough, we've also got a lot of awesome colors. Blue back there, brown on the wires, gray of itself, that kind of mushroomy beige, and white on the arm. And on top of that, we do have some nice moving parts. These sections extend like this, then these parts pull up and out like so. I have to admit, I love anything that resembles a railgun. They're some of my favorite style designs. This thing, without a doubt, is pretty damn rad. And you know what else is rad? The fact that this thing carries its weapons on its person at all times. That is such a cool concept. So this attaches up into the shoulder here, just like we saw with the Dover gun on the standard Real Grade. And speaking of, just like we've seen before, once again, enter the Master Grade. Don't do that. So anyway, there is a look at both the Master Grade and the Real Grade's Mega Cannon. For the most part, they are extremely similar, but just like you can see in this little section right here, this completely outshines the Master Grade for detail. Also, I do prefer the arm that attaches it on the Real Grade compared to the Master Grade. It's more detailed, it just looks nicer, and it features more articulation. There's nothing wrong with the one on the Master Grade. It is quite good, it does look a bit plain, but it just isn't quite as awesome as the Real Grade variant. So to connect this in, you use one of those holding hands, connect the peg into the hand, then wrangle that wrist into the arm. And this can be a little bit difficult because you do have a whole lot of parts attaching it up here to the kit, or should I say to the mecha, so that does mean you do have to struggle a bit with these just to get it into the right position. And just like right here, I didn't exactly get it extended into the exact position I wanted because of that, but honestly, you could just disconnect this. Nobody'd ever notice, really. Same goes for the side skirting things here. I never attach them to the side because they get in the way of posing so much, but all in all, if you can't get it with it attached, just attach it. It doesn't have as many moving parts on it as the Dover gun had with the original version, so that does make it a little bit more awkward to pose, but all in all, I love this thing. Look at that right there. That looks excellent. So that is enough about that particular weapon. Let's move on to the other side, and of course, that is this absolutely badass looking shield. So this kit really does keep that absolutely crazy level of Real Grade detail going. Look at this thing right here. So many different colors and so much off the chart detail. Just look at that right there. Around on the front here, we do have some of the nicest decals that come in this kit. That's the pair of wings, Preventer Wind, as well as Tallgeese 3 decals, and those little red ones there. They all look great. Fitted very nicely, and all in all make this thing look awesome. This time around, the arm on this is pretty much the same as what we saw the last time, missing one joint, I think. So we got 4 points of articulation there. These parts here with the beam sabers can move like that. Handle can move up and down. And we've got some crazy awesomeness going on down here with this segment here. This is just a placeholder right now. We're going to see more out of this after we attach it. So once again, this attaches into the hole in the shoulder here. No opening flaps on this guy like the original. So it's very, very simple. Look at that. And once again, we do have 4 points of articulation here. So you'll get that in whatever angle you want. You can bring that down into a hand if you want to. I prefer to leave it loose, free and easy. Those beam sabers can pop out like so it can grab them at its leisure, which I love. And the best aspect about this is this. So once again, onto the Master Grade, plop him in there and don't let him fall down. Once again, this right here isn't a fair comparison because this has no decals or anything like that, so I'm not talking about the shield this time, I'm talking about this. So the heat rod on the Master Grade is an absolute piece of crap. So I'm not going to disassemble this to show you guys, and I'll tell you why in a second, but this is a series of ball joints all attached together. And this is missing, I think, 2 of its parts because, well, the segments on this which attach the ball joints together, actually just towards the end of the ball joints, is incredibly fragile. These break so easily, so I'm not going to mess around with it. So it does mean you can't get some of the awesome poses that you would have wanted, that I would have wanted out of this. So it's one of those kits that after building it, I was like, and kind of just left it on the shelf. However, with the Real Grade, not only does this thing look absolutely awesome, the redesign of this looks great, the way this has been broken up a little bit, all the extra detail along the side, this does not rely on ball joints. It relies on a wire. But I will mention somehow when I was building this kit, well, the wire went in Silent Hill 2'd on me. So I couldn't find it anywhere, and one good thing about these kits is the wires used across the range is exactly the same. So this right here is from the Gold Frame Amatsumina. So I borrowed this because I don't use it with it, and it fit perfectly in here with plenty to spare. So honestly, I don't know if this is the right color of wire or the right wire or not, but it works and works perfect. Anyway, to use this, we just bust out this little placeholder here, this stored away variant, and this just attaches in just like so. And this kit has absolutely no issues with the weight. This is not going to break on you. And all in all, this heat rod is sheer perfection. I love this. It can bend quite a bit. Oh ho ho. Get back in there, you scallywag. It can bend quite a bit like that. So it is quite poseable, and I love it. And the last thing then in here, of course, is that tiny Milliardo. And there's not a whole lot to say about him, but he's pretty cool. So now moving on to the articulation of this thing, as usual from the head down, and just like with the original, well, yes, the articulation on this and the original are off the chart. So this is pretty much exactly the same, so let's move through this quickly. So the head is on a ball joint. We've got up and down, side to side, that will go all the way around, and we also have this little segment down here that allows it to tilt up even further. At the shoulder, we've got this pull-out joint, which gives us a whole ton of articulation to the front and back here. Not to mention that full 360 rotation. Independent shoulder rotation gets a little bit blocked by this big ol' armor. Full spin up here. One epic bend at the elbow with separating elbow armor. One more time. There is it closing up. Awesome. Standard ball and socket right here at the wrist, but you get what you want. Ab crunch, front, back, side to side. There's a rocking mechanism inside the waist unit. Hold on a sec, this is future Mecha Gaikotsu here with a bit of an update. I noticed that the limiter was on around here on the back. This is a little clip, kind of like what you'd see on the variations, or should I say the different variants of the unicorn. So with that limiter off, it goes all the way from there to there to there. So quite a bit. There isn't a full rotation here, but you get a nice little bit right there. The front skirting armor lifts up, but looks like Tallgeese likes that a little bit too much. Bad boy. At the side skirting, we've got a ball joint up here, a ball joint right here, so this gets a lot, and I mean, woo, a lot of movement. And the best thing about the Tallgeese is all these opening flaps for those thrusters. We also got one of those foil stickers in there. Round back of the butt flap, we've got a little bit of up and down, but once again, these can open up to expose some more massive thrusters. With the leg off there, you can see we've got a rocking mechanism inside the waist that gives a lot of extra movement to the leg. For example, if you move it back like that, you can kick that leg up even further to the front. Pretty damn awesome. Speaking of kicks anyway, with that bit all the way to the back, there is the full kick up to the front. Looking good. We're gonna rock that forward for the kick out to the back and a little bit blocked by the butt flap, as you would expect. And with those side skirts out of the way, there is the splits. Absolutely nailed it. Next up then, we've got that bend at the knee with separating armor parts. There's the closing up, so you can see that a bit better. Awesome. At the ankle here, inside of that, we have full rotation. There is the foot all the way up, all the way back. We have a side to side pivot inside of the foot and a bend at the toe, but let's check out that functional movement on the ground. So that right there is what it will look like just standing on the ground. There's the foot movement all the way in, how far it can go in while still planted on the ground, looking good. There it is all the way out, again pretty much the same. There it is all the way back, not bad, and finally all the way to the front. And with that toe bend, you get that while still in contact with the ground. So all in all, pretty awesome. So moving around to the back now to some of the most awesome aspects of the Tallgeese, and that are these boosters. So these can move in and out at this point, down like so, up like so, pivot down and up here, so there's a lot of movement. So just taking one of these thruster units off so you can see absolutely everything this thing can do. We've got this opening segment with a vernier here. On the other side, a second opening segment, second vernier. We've got these switches here. If you pull down on these, that opens that segment down like that. Third vernier, lift this flap, pull it down to line that vernier up like so, and then you can open this up a little extra and look at that booster unit. That is so cool. Anyway, there is what it looks like with both of those opened out, as well as the ones on the rear skirting, and this thing has a lot of boosters back here. Glorious. So that right there is it for the review, and for this right here, the Real Grade Tallgeese III, and for the original Real Grade Tallgeese, both of these I'm ranking as gold tier. These take Real Grade to the next best level, just not quite reaching Gundarium tier. Once again, gold tier means it's better than I'd expect from the grade, which is Real Grade. Gundarium tier would have meant it would have seemed like it's not of the grade at all. So this does feel like a real grade, look like a real grade. It doesn't have that MS joint inner frame letting it down, so it is pretty much a perfect, awesome real grade. It looks amazing, so does the standard version, looks fantastic. Once again, I do feel it does look a little bit unfinished because of the color scheme, but that is just a personal thing. When it comes to the articulation, this thing will not leave you wanting. It is awesome and poses so damn well, and the accessories are great. Would I say they're better than the original? Maybe. I do prefer the shield on this version, but deep down, I have such love for the Dover gun of the original, but both absolutely fantastic, and both I highly, highly recommend you get in your collection. Anyway, if you do want one of these of your own, find it hard to get, there's a link down there in the description. You can get yours through Buyee. I've put the Amazon link. I bought this one right here through down there as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time.